So how excited are you for the new Star Wars
I don't know. I've been watching The Mandalorian. It has saying this is the way is stuck with me a lot.
movie? Yep.
It's kind of almost like what you Fight Club or like his name is Robert Paulson type. You just go up to random people and say this is the way and they'll respond. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Trap and Roll Soap Company, Tape Armor, and Rolls Gear, and find all of our old episodes at bjjshow.com. I'm Rob, and Randy and I took on LobsterGate 2019 tonight. And before we got there, I think we got a little, depressed when we were talking about Star Wars, which led into some other various conversations, which finally led into LobsterGate, which led into people hounding us on social media, which led into an actually nice question from one of our listeners. So we hope you guys enjoy this episode, and don't forget to share this podcast with your friends if you enjoy our shows, as well as if you do listen, join the Big Jiu-Jitsu group. It's not the page, but it's a group. You can talk with us, you can talk with other people listening to the show, and we really hope you enjoy this episode.
Exciting. But I did hear one disturbing piece of information about the new movie.
What's that?
That Princess Leia is going to finish Rey's training as a Jedi.
What the If that isn't the most fucking white belt seminar bullshit I've ever heard in my life, man.
Exactly. I mean, we all know Leia has force powers, that she's related to, she's Luke's sister, and she has that innate ability, but she never tapped into it. In any of the movies, in hardly any of the storylines after, she doesn't really tap into it much. It's not something that she does. You had her flying in space in the last one, which was fucking stupid. It was cringeworthy. And then now you got her finishing a Jedi's training. She was never a Jedi. So I don't know. It kind of pisses me off a little bit, and you know what it is. It's all this political correctness bullshit. Star Wars doesn't need to tap into that. Star Wars always had strong female roles. So you don't need to overstretch yourself just to appease a certain part of the populace. You're already doing it. But I heard that, and I said, well, I'm still going to try to be optimistic and hope that it's going to be a really good movie, but I have my doubts based on that small bit of information.
Yeah, true. But we'll see. And on that sad note, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Randy.
And we've already pissed off half of our viewer base, because I feel like Star Wars is actually a pretty polarizing conversation, to be honest with you. And that's okay. That's okay. Because it feels, in a really dorky way, I kind of feel like Jiu-Jitsu can be tied in with Star Wars and Star Wars and the Jiu-Jitsu, and you got your occasional Sith Lords and whatnot, which reminds me, holy shit, fuck, why did I even bring this up beforehand? Okay. So I'll let people in on a clue. We kind of have a basic idea of what we want to talk about before an episode, just so I don't get fucking blasted by a cannon out of nowhere, right? But there was this kid, right? I'm gonna say a legend. I'm not gonna use names. But it took place in Western North Carolina, and he apparently is a jiu-jitsu student, or was a jiu-jitsu student, and used his Brazilian jiu-jitsu to put a kid in the ICU with a fight over a girl. And the video, I'll send you the video afterwards, but pretty much the kid has his back turned, he hits him in the face, picks him up, and pretty much throws him straight down onto his back of his head and his shoulder. And put him in the ICU. So, yeah.
That's the dark side of the Force for sure.
That definitely is the dark side of the Force. I was thinking about that shit too. I'm like, fucking the filter. The filter doesn't always work. 99.9% of germs. There's that 0.1 right there.
Yep.
Jeez, man, that's depressing.
Yeah, you hate to see people use it for bad, but it's out there. It's out there.
It really is, man. And I feel like we get on that conversation quite a bit. I talk about the gangs. I hope there aren't gangs of people with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Well, apparently there fucking is. So, gotta up my training. Gotta be ready for these guys.
Yeah.
We can star in an action movie if we do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that'd be kind of cool if you just took all the good Jiu-Jitsu artists, people that use it for good, and go out there and just hunt down the ones that do it for bad. We can start our own. We can start our own bounty hunter guild, in the Mandalorian show.
This is the way.
This is the way.
There you go. So, speaking of controversial subjects as well, I talk about trying not to stir the pot too much. We have our own opinions and whatever. And apparently when you and I interviewed John Milan last time, we stirred the pot a little bit.
How is that, man? That was a great episode. I like that guy.
That was a great episode. Like we definitely we pull up the I sent it to you actually, I think, in a picture. Like I said, we always pregame. We're smart people like that. But where was it? All right, Jerry Gonzalez. I know you're listening. Jerry's a real cool dude. Met him at the camp this past year. Hello, Rob. That's me. I just listened to the podcast with John Milan. I wanted to confirm that it was my student that beat Big Raj's record with 20 lobsters. I was there as well as a few others. It was disgusting to witness, I bet. Great podcast, bro. Keep up the good work. So, hey, thanks, Jerry. Let me get some of the other comments in here real quick before we continue this, because we had, I think John Milan actually jumped in on that and talked a bit about it.
Nice.
As well, because, dude, it's a controversial subject, no kidding. So to give a little context and background, if you weren't listening to the last episode, we talked about there is kind of a record, and Big Raj, he was on the show, Roger Alex, he held the record of like 19 lobsters, right? And then rolled afterwards, and John talked about that as well. Total black belt like ability. So now James Hoffman said there is asked for video evidence. Jerry said, my word is my evidence. Roger said, no video evidence, no mention of it while we were all at camp. It said it was mentioned. Pete Roberts announced it at dinner. And James tagged Pete and said, care to weigh in on LobsterGate 2019. Well, no official word right now. I didn't realize it was going to be that big of a deal. Like, actually, of all the shit we've been saying on the podcast, one of the main ones was that we're calling out somebody's lobster record.
Well, I mean, I think that to me, that what that means is we're going to have to, there should be a showdown between the two alleged records, and you're going to have an undisputed champ of the lobster.
Like with a belt.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Now,
yeah.
The winner gets a belt and gout at the same time, pretty much. Like the official record as it stands is 19 lobsters. The unofficial record is 20, with Pete Roberts unable to confirm whether or not it happened right now. No, not that he can't, but he hasn't. So now we're kind of sitting at this, what is it, uniting of, boxing unification type shit going on here. So I think...
Well, and a real champion has to be able to repeat their success.
Absolutely. I agree. Now, I'm biased, as you well know, so of course I'm pulling for Big Raj in this one. But
I mean, either number is super impressive, by the way. That's ridiculous.
I had like 2. I also filled up on baked potato too, because there's nothing beats a good baked potato, man.
Is there a reason why I keep thinking of the Family Guy episode with Rock Lobster?
No. Were you singing it? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think that's fitting. Should be on repeat. An actual B-52 song. I had to look that up, and
it is. Yeah,
sure enough. Wow, man. No, but we'll I feel like we need to plan that a bit more as well, along with our jiu-jitsu tag team tournament / Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I feel like I want to get a hand in this, since we're really reporting on the LobsterGate scandal of 2019. And we gotta wait till next year as well. We gotta wait till like September to get the real answer too. So it's kind of depressing, but it's there. It's something. Now they have an opportunity to train up for it and get ready for it.
Oh, I mean, now there should be like 25 to 30 lobsters eaten.
Easily.
You've got all this preparation that you can go into. Maybe if they jump up and down like those guys in the food eating contest.
Oh, dude.
To like free up space in their stomach.
Do they dip the lobster tails in water or something?
Yeah, they got to do something to create more space.
Dude, that has to be such an unenjoyable experience to eat. Yeah. Like a hot dog eating contest has to be such an unenjoyable experience. I eat hot dogs because they're good, not because I want to cram 50 of them down my stomach, down my throat into my stomach, and then soak the buns in water. Like, I think that's infuriating almost.
Now, are they even the good hot dogs, or are they like the nasty Red Hots?
Oh, you know what? I'm actually glad somebody else doesn't like the Red Hots that's from around the South.
No,
Honestly.
I don't like them at all.
God. No, I know it's a North Carolina Southern thing, whatever. I don't like Red Hots, man. I like real beef hot dogs.
Shaylin's, Nathan's.
Yes, Nathan's.
Yeah. Nathan's are nice and juicy. I think those are the best ones, which is kind of blasphemous being from Buffalo because everybody loves Shaylin's hot dogs in Buffalo, but Nathan's is where it's at.
Yeah. Well, I think I blame my mom because she's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think, my dad probably tried to bring Red Hots in one time. She's like, get that shit out of here. That's not a real hot dog,
They're gross.
Yeah, they are gross. I'd rather, if I want red dye, man, I'll just drink, I don't know, fucking cough syrup like all the other cool kids. Get high off of that or some shit.
Yeah, I don't like them at all. I think that the all beef hot dogs, that's where you got to go.
Dude, we haven't even talked about fucking jiu-jitsu, really. All right, hold on. All right, Dan sent us a question from before, and he was the one that we got last time. First off, I'd like to give a big shout out. Let's talk first about our community. We legit, since we've started the big jiu-jitsu group, I was like, oh, cool, 100 members. Like, that's pretty good for, people. We have, like, last time I checked today, it was like, 505 members, right?
Yep. Yeah, we broke 500.
Yeah, it's fucking wacky. And legit conversations, you post a question up, people answer it, everybody's polite, everybody's cool. Somebody made fun of me for my shoulder injury. It's okay. Right? But I will say this, running a podcast, having, a lot of reach out and stuff like that, I will say Dan is legit one of the most non-pushy dudes that has contacted us through social media. I'm not saying everybody has, but he's been like one of the more, like, was it? I actually had a request. I'll pull it up. Where was it? This dude, not going to name names here. He started out with, and I've talked about this shit before. Hi, can you share my son's post and even get him as a guest on your show? Fuck no, first off. Because how old was he? He was 10 at the time.
How are you going to do a podcast with a 10-year-old?
Dude, he doesn't want us to ask the questions we talk about, like, at all. Let's see. Like, no, I'm not going to fucking share. And dude, that's not a good lead in. Like, fucking spell check a bit. But,
I mean, I could talk to him about maybe Call of Duty Mobile that I enjoy playing. I'm sure that 10-year-old's pretty damn good at that. But.
Yeah, he probably whooped my ass in that. No problems there. But I didn't even respond to this guy back. Like, respond to this guy back. Jesus, man. I've been listening to Yoda talk too much. I didn't even respond back to this guy. And we have, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 random messages from this guy. Like, just sharing, like, I get it, man. You're proud of your kid. That's cool and all. But look, man, like, if I don't answer back, it's not that we aren't being assholes. It's just, like, we have lives and shit. Please don't be pushy.
What's the deal with this kid?
He's good at jiu-jitsu, I'm not going to lie, but at the same time, like, I don't want a 10-year-old on my podcast, Like, I
don't mind standing behind somebody that's good like that, coming up the ranks and sharing their videos on the website or whatever to kind of show support in that way, but, I mean, how are you going to do a podcast with a 10-year-old?
I don't know. I want to find, like, a 10-year-old like that was on Jackass that curses. That's what I want on the podcast. Like the beer kid from the Man Show. Like, I want that level of, like, shit talking.
I mean, good for him for being really good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not hating on him for that.
That's great. That's great. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's kind of hard to stand behind something and go out of your way to actually produce when somebody's being that pushy. That's not the way to go about doing business.
No, not at all. Anywho, so let's get back to old Dan here. Jesus, man. This is the most depressing podcast we've done so far. All right, so hey, check this out. I'm going to the Fresno Fight to Win this weekend, getting to walk his coach out. Boom. Would love to hear your guys' input on what to do look for on game day as I really ramp up my jiu-jitsu journey. So I guess kind of game day, competition day, man. What to see, look for, or do? Well, I'll tell you, like, right off the bat, it's not the finals of the Ultimate Fighter, so you can relax. Like, do that.
Right.
Like, that's my first piece of advice.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's a good piece of advice because I made a mistake early on in my competitive background when I was still competing on a regular basis. I wouldn't get my mindset right. I would go in there and I would kind of feed into the nerves, you know.
Yeah.
And you gotta find space and time to yourself to kind of get your mind right, get into that right mindset and that mind space. Whether that's listening to music or, you know, some people sleep. I've never been able to be that person, but you know, each person kind of prepares in their own way. You just got to find that method. And for me, it's music. I like to put some headphones on, sit away from everybody else for a little bit, listen to some music that motivates me, makes me feel good. Not like some death metal to get my heart pumping, but music that makes me feel good, positive. You know, probably something we should have done before we started recording this episode, apparently.
Yeah.
But there's something that makes you feel confident and happy and good and in the right spot. That's my piece of advice on that.
I think music does play a key, and you know, I talked about it as well. Like, somebody asked me, "Was like, why are we listening to like metal in class?" I'm like, because I don't want you guys ripping each other's arms out, like, because that is just what happens. Like, you can tell by the tempo, and you know, I stand behind that. Some of the best rolling music ever is the Red Hot Chili Peppers because it's like the beat's fast enough that'll make you want to work out a bit, but it's slow enough that you're not like, you know, trying to force everything and kill people. The vibe's pretty good. Like, it just... I
agree. Red Hot Chili Peppers is a solid pick for rolling music.
So, I mean, I'll do that. And, I mean, honestly, it's all about, like, whatever works for you to keep you calmest. And this is a friend of mine, Adam. We did... It was 2 tournaments. It was kind of like a couple months apart. We did one together. He didn't do as well. And he was like, oh, I don't understand. You know, I drank water. You know, I didn't drink at all in the past couple weeks. You know, I was really trying to keep my shit together. And then, you know, I get double submitted and eliminated. And then I was like, you know, just, it happens. And then he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to roll. I'm going to do what I normally do and just show up like I do on an open mat. And it was a couple months later, we go to the tournament. I'm like, how you feeling? He's like, good. I'm a little hungover. Drank a bunch of rum last night. And I was like, all right, man. Fucking first place.
Well, and there's a lot of validity to that because you think about it. There's a few different ways to say the same quote, but in the law enforcement circles and tactical circles, they always talk about you won't rise to your level of expectations. You'll fall to your level of training.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so true because you go into a tournament like that, you're probably, if you give in to the adrenaline, to the fear, and to the excitement of the whole experience, you're probably going to drop a few notches in your abilities and where you're really at in your training. Like when you're at your dojo or you're at somebody else's school in an open mat session, where you roll on those days is completely different than where you're going to fight on fight time if you're not in the right mind space.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I think that's great. Walk in there like it's your open mat because really, what's the difference? If you look at it in the grand scheme of things, if you're testing your jiu-jitsu in a tournament or you're testing your jiu-jitsu against people you don't know at a gym you don't normally train at in an open mat session, what's the difference besides some plastic trophies or some medals?
Yeah.
There's no difference. And so, I mean, it's not even money because sometimes you have to pay for an open mat. Sometimes you got to pay mat fees. So it's not even so much the price of admission. It's literally just all in your head. So I agree. I think that if you can get yourself to where you walk into a tournament thinking that it's just another day on the mat, you'll probably perform better than you would if you went in there all hyped up.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with that because, well, like I said, I like to go in there just kind of, what happens, and then I'm going to see where I go from here. Shit, I had something I was going to say that I felt was kind of profound, but as usual, it leaves me as soon as I say something else. But more or less, here's the other thing. That's what it was. I feel a lot of people are putting maybe undue pressure on themselves because they now have this, not everybody, this isn't everybody. I want to be a sponsored athlete and make tons of $10 bills. to, do like super fights and stuff. Like they want to be able to do that. And I don't think everybody really understands how hard that is to do unless you're like high level, like stupidly high level in competition.
Yeah.
Like,
and the sacrifices.
Yeah.
There was this guy that came by TFTC, I think it was last week. He came to jiu-jitsu, then he stayed for kickboxing, and we were talking after the kickboxing class. And this guy trains out in Wilmington.
Yeah.
And he has literally, doesn't go to college, gave up his job, and has given up everything to focus 100% of his effort in his life on his development as a professional fighter. Right. So that's the type of sacrifice that it takes to get to the level that a lot of people want to be in, but so few are willing to make those sacrifices to do it.
Yeah, the sacrifices that people make for a profession like that. See, I feel like there is a bit of difference still, though, between professional MMA and professional jiu-jitsu, because a lot of people still want to see professional MMA, but not a lot of people want to see professional jiu-jitsu.
Right. I agree with that.
Which sucks because, it's a podcast about jiu-jitsu and we want to see jiu-jitsu succeed, but I don't know. We might get there, we might not. Who knows? But
our previous guest, Samuel Braga, posted a while back a related thing talking about exactly the type of work and sacrifice and dedication that it takes to get to that level. Because let's face it, there's a difference between being a Masters world champ in IBJJF and being an adult world champ in the highest level. And there's nothing. I'm not trying to take away the accomplishment and the achievement. I mean, good for you. You went in there, you competed at a high level, and you won. I mean, fantastic. I got a lot of friends that are Masters world champs, and that's great. But there's people out there that have a skewed opinion or a skewed perspective, and they want to be like Buchecha, or you know what I mean? They want to be at that level. Gordon Ryan, people like that. And it's like, look, if you want to get there, I mean, nobody's saying you can't. If a human being can do it, then that means that another human being can achieve the same thing. But it's I don't know. I feel like some people, if you're going to do that, you got to give up everything. Yeah,
you do. Train 3 times a day. Have somebody. I mean, that was why for a good while, Team Lloyd Irvin had such a high amount of, just awesome competitors. I mean, it was all bullshit and shenanigans aside. He did bring them in, pay their way, and then, they destroyed competition.
Yeah.
But with the other shit that happened, of course, it all fell apart. But I don't know many places who would do that or still do that, if there are any. And I'm sure there are, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think that's the problem, though, a lot of times now is the way society is. I mean, everything is so accessible and reachable and seeable through social media and technology, and you get these generations of people coming up that they're motivated, they're passionate, but they see the success, but they don't see necessarily what's happening behind the scenes that's not posted on Facebook,
Yeah.
They don't see the grueling hours, the 3-a-days, the lack of sleep, the lack of everything, the fact that they're giving up and sacrificing. A lot of people coming up aren't willing to do that. They just want to get to that end goal without putting the work in between.
Yeah, everybody wants to eat the sausage, but nobody wants to see how the sausage is made.
Yeah. I mean, it's frustrating, and then you just, I don't know. You can love jiu-jitsu and not be the number one guy in the world, and unfortunately, there's always going to have to be a number 2, a number 3, a number 4, a number 400 in order for there to be a number 1. And it doesn't mean that we're expecting you to settle for mediocrity, but at some point, you're going to have to learn and prioritize your life and figure out what you are willing to give up and what you're not to accomplish what it is that you're looking at.
No, that's true. There's definitely a balance in life, and like you said, what are you willing to give up? And it's also, like you said, it's also okay to be, not the best ever. You can still enjoy jiu-jitsu, and I've seen people argue about it. They're like, oh yeah, guys who say that I saw somebody say that, show me a guy who says they focus on self-defense for jiu-jitsu, and I'll show you a guy who sucks at competition. Like, okay, cool, man. Like, I'm
but
not.
That's fine.
Yeah.
What if your goal is not competition?
Yeah, it's like, I don't think people. I think people need to see the duality of it. Like, there definitely are schools, and I think it's fine. Like we said, focus on self-defense, and if you want to do sport. It's cool. There's a place for both. I'd like to compete more, probably, maybe not, I don't know, still up in the air on it. I say no more, but there's always that itch. I'm like, dude, I fucking love competing, but I also hate what it does to me. Like, because you're usually like, you wake up the next morning, you just hate your life sometimes.
Well, and it's there's a difference too between McDojos, right?
Yeah.
And self-defense schools. So I've seen jiu-jitsu schools that are solely based on self-defense because it's a protective measure, and I think that's sometimes what people are talking about. You got gyms that focus, I'm only going to teach self-defense jiu-jitsu because, that's what the roots of jiu-jitsu are all about. But in reality, they're hiding behind their ineptitude in applying their jiu-jitsu against somebody else.
Yeah.
But there's extremes. So on the far end of that, you also have people that only focus on competition jiu-jitsu, and all they do is compete, and they completely lack the ability to defend themselves because their perspective of what jiu-jitsu is in a real fight is completely skewed. So it's a balance. It's like you said, it's a duality. I mean, you can do both. There's nothing wrong with doing both.
Now, how about this? Because I pulled this video up, and I almost posted a comment about it, but I was like, I'll back off, because I feel like every time I post something crazy on Facebook, crazy shit happens on my Facebook. So it was the video, I'm sure you saw it, of the two Army guys grappling, and the dude grabs his dick. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
I'll play the sound of it for everybody, because what is it? The dick twist. So I think I gotta look it up. Give me the old dick twist. There it is. But pretty much, two guys are fighting, and what in the 3 or 2 stripe white belt are you doing fighting somebody? So he has him. The guy is in not even half guard. It's generous to say half guard at this point, and has a guillotine on him, and it's generous to say it's a guillotine, and he has no control over the guy, and he's had this guillotine on him for, what is this at, 20 seconds now. And the guy,
clearly ineffective guillotine.
Absolutely. So 20 seconds in, dude goes to the old dick twist, and you get this.
Wow.
Please let go of my dick.
Jeez.
I hate to break it, but we've also just... that video just proved all the fucking ninjas right, too.
I mean,
shame on you. Shame on you, Army guy. How about that? Nah, to a degree, you're absolutely right.
I mean, how serious was this fight, really?
Well, he was hitting him.
Was he?
Yeah, the guy with the quote unquote guillotine started punching the guy in the back and whatever, and I guess the dude just kind of reached his hand in there and grabbed his dick.
I would say that is a good video in support of arm in guillotines.
Yes. And I also would like to use this video as a demonstration of you probably should just control the person and have a guard of some sort. This is the puddle guard, as Shane Williams used to call it, where he just lays there.
Puddle guard.
Where he just lays there and lets a man just do whatever he wants to him. But,
yeah, and I also say this too when it comes to teaching law enforcement. I think it applies to self-defense too. Is people when they think about jiu-jitsu, they think guard is where you want to be.
Oh, and hell no! Yeah,
that's not reality. Guard is a way to control somebody's posture and balance and give some semblance of control over them because where they're on top. But it doesn't mean that that's where I want to be. That's where self-defense and sports sort of separate. I'm not going to fucking pull guard in a fight, man.
Hell
not happening.
No.
I want to be on top, and that's where I'm going to do most of my damage, and that's where I'm going to control somebody. And you're less likely to get your dick twisted if you're on top controlling somebody.
Go on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you know what? His dick probably wouldn't have got twisted if he would have actually applied a real guillotine, because that guy's hands would have gone to defend his airway as opposed to grabbing somebody's junk. And even if not, you withstand a good 4 to 7 seconds of dick twist and the guy's unconscious. So
yeah. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could withstand dick twist or ball pinch.
No, I mean that's yeah.
God.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like nightmare fuel for me. That video right there is absolutely why, one, I don't want to just jump into fights, and two, I'm all about the guard, but fuck that, man. Just gift wrap them and hold them there, and just tell them to stop. Just stop.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, it helps if you have a small dick.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm good. We're good then. Never mind. I didn't think about that. Let's grab onto. We're good. And on
it's like having your hair cut short. You can't get your hair pulled if it's short.
And on that small note, it's been another episode of the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Trap and Roll Soap Company, Tape Armor, and Rolls Gear. And you can find all of our old episodes at bjjshow.com. I'm Rob.
I'm Randy.
And we'll see you guys next time.